Fake HOA cops took my kid. They didn't know I legally own their entire HOA territory. The air was heavy with the kind of silence that screamed trouble. Karen stood in the cracked driveway of her modest home, her fingers digging into the edges of a photograph of her son, Ethan. He was 8, all gap-toothed smiles, now missing for 3 days. The cul-de-sacers were no longer just nosy neighbors. They were predators, led by Tom, the HOA president with a smile too wide and a badge too shiny. He called himself the community enforcer, backed by a posse of wannabe cops who patrolled Karen's meadow with clipboards and cruelty. They'd taken Ethan, claiming she'd violated HOA rules and mowed grass, an unapproved mailbox, her defiance. For the good of the neighborhood, Tom had said. But Karen knew better. This wasn't about rules. It was personal. Karen's voice cracked as she confronted Tom in the cul-de-sac. You took my boy to break me. Where is he? Tom's eyes gleaming with smug control shrugged. Your kid's safe. Maybe he'll learn respect, unlike his mother. Behind him, Jake, the deputy he'd hired, shifted uncomfortably. Jake was new, young, still clinging to some shred of integrity. Karen caught his glance, a flicker of doubt, and latched onto it. Jake, you know this is wrong. Help me. The crowd of neighbors watched, their whispers a chorus of complicity. Karen had always been the HOA's punching bag fines for her son's chalk drawings, warnings about her old truck. But Tom had underestimated her. Years ago, Karen's grandfather had owned the entire meadow before selling it to developers. A forgotten clause in the contract, buried in dusty county records, gave her legal claim to the land if the HOA violated its charter. And Tom's fake cop charade? That was a violation big enough to burn his empire down. Karen's heart raced as she pulled out the deed, her voice rising. You didn't know, Tom. I own this land. Every inch of your precious meadow. Your fake badge means nothing. Tom's smirk faltered, but he doubled down, stepping closer. You're bluffing. No one's coming to save you. Jake's hand twitched near his holster, his eyes darting between them. The tension was a live wire, ready to snap. Then, a twist. Mrs. Delaney, the quiet widow from Lot 12, pushed through the crowd. She was frail, always ignored, but her voice cut like steel. I saw them take Ethan. They locked him in Tom's basement. Gasps rippled through the neighbors. Mrs. Delaney held up her phone, shaking, showing grainy footage of Tom's goons dragging Ethan away. I'm done hiding, she said. This HOA's been bleeding us dry for years. Her courage shifted. The air neighbors murmured, some stepping forward, others retreating in shame. Karen's rage surged. She lunged at Tom, but Jake grabbed her, his grip firm but conflicted. Karen, wait. Let me handle this. He turned to Tom, voice low. Is it true? Tom's facade cracked, his eyes darting to his truck like he might bolt. That's when Jake made his choice. He unclipped his badge, tossing it at Tom's feet. I'm done with your lies. The standoff exploded into chaos. Neighbors shouted, some defending Tom, others rallying behind Karen. She broke free, sprinting toward Tom's house, her only thought Ethan. She found him in the basement, scared but unharmed, and clutched him so tight she could barely breathe. But the victory was hollow. Tom had vanished, tipped off by a loyalist. The HOA dissolved days later, Karen's deed upheld in court. But the meadow was fractured. Neighbors turned on each other, trust shattered. Karen stood in her driveway weeks later, Ethan asleep inside, the cul-de-sac empty. Mrs. Delaney's footage had gone viral, exposing Tom's scams, but he was still out there, untouchable. Karen's legal win gave her the land, but not her peace. The neighbors who'd stood by, silent, now avoided her gaze. She'd exposed their cowardice, and they hated her for it. The bitter truth settled in. Justice wasn't clean. Karen had her son, but the community she'd fought for was gone. She'd won the war, but lost the home she'd known. Mrs. Delaney stopped by sometimes, her quiet strength a reminder of what courage cost. Jake left town, unable to face his role in the mess. And Tom? Rumors placed him in another state, already scheming. What would you do when justice tears your community apart? Share your thoughts on where the line between right and wrong lies in a world where silence is complicity.